This scene is probably going to be one of the most complicated scenes in the movie because it has a lot of elements. There's going to be people talking, there's going to be people moving in the background, there's shots of different people, and also the major shots of the party. I have been working on a series where I am making a short film using AI. I want to see what different tools I can use to maintain the most control over this project. In the last episode, I started making the storyboard and I tested out a bunch of different video generation software to figure out which software I was going to use. I also did an episode where I tested out Sora to see if I could use it to make this short film. In this episode, I'm going to start breaking down the script and start figuring out exactly how I'm going to do the film. Hi, I'm Katya Alexander and this is Real Intelligence, the podcast where we talk about film and AI. For those of you who don't know me, I've been working in the film industry for 12 years and I've been a producer for 10. I sold a film to Abamarama and I also got a feature into South by Southwest, which ended up winning and being sold to IFC. It later became a trending film on Hulu. I also worked in the Las Vegas Sphere, which is a boot camp between the intersection of technology and entertainment.
Real intelligence leading the way. AI insights, it's what you crave. Real intelligence, turn up the light. Stay informed all through the night.
Mia, 19, stands over the stove making soup. She's cutting cabbage, carrots, adding rice, and cutting bread. The kitchen is run down, but it's clear that it's the only room in the house. There's a mattress on the floor where they sleep. Just that section can be done in so many different ways. One option would be just to make a storyboard and take those clips and put it through video generation software and see what happens, but I'm not going to have a lot of control over that, so I'm not sure if that's the thing I'm interested in. I think for this section, I'm going to do the classic style transfer. To do a style transfer, what I'm going to do is I am going to make a storyboard of this scene so I know what each shot is going to look like. To do the storyboard, I'm going to do the process I was talking about before where I'm just going to use Midjourney to make each and every single shot. Then for the shots where Mia is cooking, I'm going to film myself in the kitchen with the same setup that the shot is in. And I'm going to film myself doing these motions so I can later take the image from the storyboard, then take the shot of me moving, combine them together using most likely Comfy UI, but I'm going to test out some different softwares and get a shot where I got to choose the exact motion, the exact timing, the exact everything, but I still can do a style transfer over it to have it be the style of the rest of the movie. In this scene, there is some dialogue, but all the dialogue is VO, so it's not going to be that hard. The last shot of the scene is Mia looking down at her fake ID. To do this, I think I'm going to use an image generation software like Midjourney to generate the actual image, but then in Photoshop, I'm going to design what the actual fake ID is going to look like and place that into the image before I put it through image to video. One of the things I am going to test out when it comes to this clip is I'm going to see what is better, me doing the Photoshop and then putting it into a video generation, or should I just do the video generation and then later use After Effects to make the ID look exactly how I want it to look. I know that AI is pretty limited in making IDs and writing and stuff like that, which is why I'm trying to do it this way. It allows me to maintain a certain level of control, but as you can see, just that one scene, we're going to probably be using 4 or 5 different AI programs, and it's going to be a pretty manual process, including filming actual footage. Mia dressed in a gold gown, Kyle, 19, dressed in a suit, approached the large mansion. People in gowns and suits are entering. This party is the height of luxury. Mia and Kyle come to the front of the line. Kyle hands his ID in first. The security takes a look at it and hands it back. It says, Andrew. Mia hands her ID in next. The security barely looks at it and ushers them both in. This was actually the scene that I started storyboarding in all of the tests and started using shots of to do image to motion, see how it worked. And for this, I might go a little simple and stick with what I was doing in those tests. A lot of the footage that I was getting from the video generation software was pretty good, so I think I'm just going to stick with that. When it comes to the ID though, I want to get actual shots of the ID in the bouncer's hand, so I think I'm going to do what I was talking about for the first scene. I'm going to have the ID in the bouncer's hand, send that through a video generation software, and then using After Effects, I'm going to track on what I want the actual ID to look like. There's a lot of intricacies in this scene, and I'm super curious how it's going to turn out. Andrew sends his ID in first, and the bouncer looks at it for a long time. But then for Mia's ID, he's just going to barely glance at it. I'm curious if I'm going to have to film myself doing those motions again and then do another style transfer, or if I will, just from pure generation, be able to get those motions in. It looked like the video generation software was doing a pretty good job at the moment that Mia looks at Kyle and is really nervous. So it looks like I can use video generation software for that one clip, but for all the bouncer stuff, I'm probably going to have to do a style transfer for, because all the motions are just too intricate, as well as using After Effects to make sure the IDs look how I want them to look. The next scene has dialogue, so we're going to talk about that. Mia turns to Kyle. That was easier than I thought it was going to be. Kyle. These must be some really good fake IDs. Mia. Quiet. You'll get us both killed. Kyle. Wow, there's the president. The president stands next to a table piled high with food, alcohol, speaking to two beautiful young women. Mia. Kyle, I mean Andrew. We need to focus. Where's Silas Rock's office? Kyle looks at Mia. Kyle. Valerie. Kyle winks. How should I know? I've never been here either. Mia. Did they give you a map? Kyle looks at Mia, scared. This scene is probably going to be one of the most complicated scenes in the movie because it has a lot of elements. There's going to be people talking, there's going to be people moving in the background, there's shots of different people, and also the major shots of the party. For the shots of the party, that's where I really am going to have to rely on video generation software because that's why I have to do this film with AI. I can't afford to get a mansion and get 100 extras and do all that stuff. So that section is the big money section of why I'm using AI to make this film. I've done a significant amount of tests on some of the wide shots of the party, and there are video generation softwares that work really well with it. I'm most likely going to use a mix of video generation software so I can get a mix of different footage. Sora was really good at doing little close-ups and some weird little moments, whereas Kling was really good at getting the full picture. For the president, I might do another style transfer. It looks like I'm going to be doing a lot of style transfer for this, so I'm definitely going to do some style transfer tests to make sure that this is a viable solution for this. I just want to make sure that the president's movements are what I want them to be. I'm first going to see if video generation software can get me what I want to get, because it will be easier than doing a style transfer and honestly more reliable, but style transfer will give me more control over the character's actual performance and what I want them to be doing. The big thing that makes this scene so complicated is that there is going to be dialogue. So here is my plan. We did a test on Runways Act One, and it's pretty amazing. I'm most likely going to be using that for this project. My plan right now is to do a shot of Mia, and we're going to do all of her lines in one go. So I'm going to use image generation software to get a shot of Mia, and then I'm going to do all of her lines using Act One so that I can make sure that there aren't any random changes and stuff, that it's all going to look the same. One of the big things though is I want to get, wide shots of her, close-ups of her, same thing with him. So what I'm going to do is I am going to rotoscope their actual heads and talking out, and then I'm going to use image and video generation software to generate the party that's going to be happening behind them. So there'll be a layer of the character, a layer of the motion behind them, and I'll be able to punch in and out using After Effects. This will give the film more life. One of the hard things with AI films is it's been really hard to get people's lips to track, and obviously Act One is the big fix for that, but it only focuses on the face. So I want to make sure that the background, there's still a major party raging on, and there's all this other stuff that's really interesting that's sort of happening behind them. This next scene is going to be done in the exact same way. Mia and Kyle walk into a ballroom, and then in the ballroom, there are people dancing. Mia, do you think it's going to be on the second floor? Kyle, I think so. Mia thinks for a moment. Mia, okay, follow me. It can be done in the same way because I can just track their face and then generate the video behind them, use After Effects, blah, 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 blah. All of the same tactics should be able to work for this. The next sequence is Mia and Kyle running down a hallway and jumping into a closet. I'll admit that I'm really nervous about this sequence, and I'm actually not 100% sure what I'm going to do. I might do a style transfer for it so that I can actually get them running down a hallway and all that stuff. I might see if video generation could work for this. It'd be really cool if I could just generate those videos, but I know that like when it comes to like getting a wide shot and then a close up and all these different factors are going on, AI does not do a very good job at keeping track of all of those details. I think this is going to be a moment where I'm just going to have to do trial and error and like run into a brick wall over and over again and just see what finally works to do this sequence. Fortunately, the next sequence is going to be so easy. It's just Mia and Kyle in a closet talking to each other. Mia and Kyle stand close to each other in the closet. Kyle, I think this is too dangerous. It's not too late to turn back. Mia, you don't understand. Kyle, I do understand the movement is really important to you. Mia, it's important to the world. Kyle, I know, but you're important to my world. Kyle, what about your sisters? Mia, Kyle. Mia pauses. I'm already wanted. Kyle, what? Mia, the last house I cleaned, they say I stole a necklace. I didn't, but it doesn't matter. That's why I volunteered. I have nothing to lose. Outside of the closet, they hear. So that portion's going to be really easy because they're in a closet. There's no motion behind them. There's nothing really else happening other than them speaking to each other. So I really will just be able to use Runways Act One and just use the footage that it comes up with. The outside sequence is very similar to that. The initial motion I'll probably have to do a style transfer for, but the rest of it, they're in a hallway by themselves. So there's not really much more to it. I don't need to make sure the background's moving. I don't need to make sure anything else is happening. It's just two people talking to each other. We left off. Outside the closet, they hear. Hallway. Continuous. Two men are walking towards the party, coming from the right. Silas Rourke. It's a pleasure doing business with you. Damon Cladwell. Of course, we're happy as well. In the dark closet. Kyle. Is that the Vice President Cadwell? Mia covers his mouth with her hand. So Mia covering Kyle's mouth, I do not know how we're going to do that yet. It might just be a situation where I just have to generate and generate and generate until I get the thing that I want, because I've never done a style transfer on something so claustrophobic before. I don't know if it would work. This also might be a situation where I'm going to have to give up a little bit of control and just change the action, but I'm going to try to do it first and see if it works, because who knows, maybe it will work. Mia covers his mouth with her hand. In the hallway, continuous. Damon stops walking. Mr. Rourke, we'll have to close the last public schools too. Silas Rourke, do you remember what I just showed you? Damien Cladwell, of course, sir. They continue down the hallway. Interior dark closet continuous. Mia listens. Mia, I think they left. She listens again. There is no sound. I think I know where the office is. Mia exits the closet. Kyle closely follows. Like I said before, that's such an easy thing because they're just in a closet. There's not a lot going on behind them. I can just use Runways Act One, and then the scene of them getting out of the closet, I can just generate that. But then Mia and Kyle are going to be walking down a hallway again, and as I just said, I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. Style transfer maybe, I don't know. The next scene is similar to the closet because it's just both of them in the office by themselves. So anytime they're speaking, I can just use Runway Act One, and any action, I can either do a style transfer for it or hopefully just generate it. Mia breaks into the office. She is relieved. Kyle is close behind her. Mia goes to the desk. I'm an idiot. Why do you think it would be right on top of the desk? Kyle looks around the room looking for a key. Mia sits down at the desk. It's no use. It's an eye scanner, not a lock. Kyle, even better, I can hack into it. There's no way you're advanced enough. Kyle pulls out a device out of his pocket. As he does, he hits a portrait and it opens. Behind the portrait is an old-fashioned safe. Mia stands up. I know how to open that. Mia goes to the safe, places her ear onto it, and unlocks it. It opens with a click. Inside is a stack of papers. Mia carefully takes them out and looks at them. Kyle approaches her. Mia's eyes well up with tears. Kyle, what does this say? Mia, I don't know. I can't read. I didn't think it would be physical. Kyle, I think it's so they can't be hacked. Kyle takes the papers from her. It's okay. I can read. As Kyle goes through the papers, Mia looks up and sees one of the portraits on the wall. It's of Kyle. Mia. Kyle. Kyle looks up to where Mia is looking. He sees his portrait. It's labeled Andrew Rourke. Mia grabs the papers from him and runs for the door. Wait, I can explain. We got another hallway portion. A lot of hallway stuff. Maybe that was a really bad idea on my part. I think a lot of stuff I can either generate or I can do a style transfer for, and then anytime they're speaking, I can use Runways Act One. But for the portraits, I'm going to generate the portraits separately and then use After Effects to place them into the scene. That way they're consistent and, most importantly, they look how I actually want them to look. Mia runs through the party. It's a nightmare of a whirlwind. She can't see straight. Someone grabs her and pulls her into the kitchen. I actually added this section because of the limitations of AI. When we were doing a bunch of different generation stuff, I remember talking about different clips that I really, really liked, but they didn't look right. And so I was like, oh my God, if I add a section where she's so overwhelmed, everything's whirling together and there's all these artifacts and it's so crazy, I can actually use the weaknesses of AI to benefit this story. In the kitchen, there are hungry workers trying to make the party the best they can. Someone drags Mia into the freezer. That's another section that I was saying is the reason I'm using AI. I couldn't afford to get a bunch of extras and a really, really nice kitchen. So I'm just going to use image to video generation and see how it works. I think this might be a lot of trial and error because there are a lot of moving parts to it. But I think with trial and error, I'm going to get the scene that I want to get. This next scene is similar to the closet. It's super easy. It's just a shot of me and a shot of Kyle talking to each other in the freezer. I added this scene and scenes like this so that I could have portions of the film be a little bit easier to do than all this manual stuff that I have to do. Mia, let me go, let me go. Kyle, please let me explain. Mia, you're going to kill me. Kyle, no, I love you. Mia, your idea was real, that's why they let us in. Kyle, please stop screaming. Mia, oh my God, this was your plan all along. You were trying to stop us. Kyle, no, Mia, I want to help you. I want to take my father down. Mia, I don't believe you. Kyle, please, I love you. Mia, let me go. Kyle waits for a moment, but then steps aside. Mia runs from the freezer. Ballroom continues. Mia runs through the ballroom. That's when the police spot her. Kyle runs after her because of the commotion. Back of the mansion continuous. Mia is taken by the police. The packet of papers falls out of her hand. Mia is screaming. Mia, no, let me go. No, Kyle, Kyle. Kyle sees her being pulled away. He runs after her. The door of the police truck closes. There's nothing he can do. Kyle goes to the papers she dropped and picks them up. This section is another section I'm really nervous about. There's a lot of specifics. I think what I'm going to do, help this section along, is what a lot of action films do, where they do a lot of close-ups with a lot of commotion and stuff like that. I think I'm just going to do different close-ups of Mia and the police and mix it with these wide shots of the party raging on around them so that I don't have to make sure that all these different elements are working together. I'm just going to separate the elements out and do them each well. This is going to be another moment that's a limitation of AI. I probably won't be able to get the exact shots that I want to get. I'm going to have to get the shots that I can get that actually work with the programs I have. The last section is pretty easy because it's going to be B-roll shots of the town. Again, great use of AI because I can generate an entire rundown town and all these rundown houses as well as all these crazy mansions. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use AI to generate all these different places, and there's going to be a voiceover from Kyle that reads, "This is Andrew Rourke speaking, and I am publicly denouncing my father and releasing these papers. My father, Silas Rourke, has been keeping the deepest, darkest secrets of the most powerful men to make sure they do business for him." And then he's going to start listing out all of the secrets as we see the B-roll shots of both cities and the juxtaposition of both of the lives. There's a couple things I still have to test, like style transfers and the hallway stuff for sure. But for my initial thoughts, this is how I think I'm going to approach the film. I'm really excited to continue this journey with everybody and for us to make this movie together and ultimately show people how they can make movies with AI. I'm Katya Alexander, and this is Real Intelligence.